This will be recorded and later will be available along with the transcript on our IR website. The slides shared here are already available in our website in the Securities and Exchange Commission or the CVM website. After our presentation, we have our Q&A session. If you want to ask your questions, please raise your hand button and unmute your microphone at the appropriate time. The floor is yours, Gabriel. Thank you, Marcio, and thank everyone who is here. Well, I would like to take this moment to reflect upon this past 12 months. Since I started as the CEO in the third quarter of 24, it was the first earnings call I had as the CEO of Méliuz. Now it's my fourth earnings call as the CEO, and this is a historic moment resulting from the hard work of all of our team. I would like to thank all of our staff at YouTube and Zoom, part of our team. We went through bad times in Méliuz, the costs, cuts, and everybody stood together and worked really hard to deliver the results we can see today. And the work that is being consolidated now is not the result of only the last year, but the last 3 years of those who work hard for our company. Thank you for your focus, attention, and dedication. And for our shareholders, the key message is that we are in a marathon. This is not a sprint race. So we had the consensus of the market in almost 60%, and you can realize results were progressive. Every quarter we grew. It was not a surprise to us and to no one in our team because we have improved our results quarter after quarter in revenue and EBITDA, and we have acceleration of growth with accountability and safety. That's what I want to show to you. We are going to show you some of the highlights in our numbers. And with that, I would like to bring to you some of the main results where we tripled our EBITDA. If we compare the quarter, we more than tripled. We grew 258%, a consolidated EBITDA of 26.6 million. In the adjusted or consolidated EBITDA, 258% growth versus the third quarter of 24. We grew our revenue in 37% year on year, in 63% growth in net revenue in shopping Brazil. It's much higher than Brazilian retail, reflecting our efforts to improve the share of wallets of our users, increase our addressable market, and find business with our partners. And the result of this work, both in revenue and costs, was this EBITDA in the past 12 months, 94.7 million. This is a very strong, sturdy result, resulting from the growth in revenue and control over costs we have reached. The consequence is a EBITDA margin of 21.4%, very significant growth versus the third quarter of 24, and the company is still in the very sturdy and healthy level of EBITDA, and we will maintain this pathway. The consolidated net revenue is 123.7 million, 37% increase, and net income of 14.2 million. Another highlight here that is important to mention that for the first time in our history, we have over 1 million accounts open in just 1 month. This is a historical hallmark for Méliuz. Even if you compare it to the year of 21 with the Black November and all of that, this year we achieved over 1 million accounts open in a single month. And we did that assuring the best possible experience for our users. If they have the best experience, they will bring more users, and that's our focus. Now we are going to have a slightly different model. I'll start talking about growth. I believe that in 2022 and 2023, that was not our main focus. It was the turnout of our company. But now we will focus on our growth we have achieved because this will generate results for the future. And then I'll talk about bottom line and operating efficiency, and then talk about the cash flow and our ability to generate cash flow, and it's linked to our strategy as a treasury company. So the first thing I would like to highlight, and we're very proud about this slide here, we are recurrently and consistently among the 5 most downloaded shopping apps in Brazil. If you recall, in 2024, we showed in our report that closed the year of 24 that we had been the 7th most downloaded app in Brazil. Now we are among the 5. Sometimes, depending on the month, we are the 4th or the 5th. And if you consider the whole of Brazil, we are not only in shopping, we are the 19th most downloaded app in Brazil as a whole. And we are doing a lot with not so much. We had a marketing for budget is 1.9 million in market investments per month. So we have done all of that in a very efficient way. And our customer acquisition cost is well below the average of other shopping players. Very efficient. This allows us to generate value for our partners in the long run. This is a platform with over 45 million users, and that grows, bringing users with an efficient way. We can generate value for our players because we generate incremental and shop business and generating from this strong user base. The main message here, we have done a lot with little. This shows how efficient we are as Méliuz, and this is nothing new. We have been doing that since Israel Marques founded Méliuz way back, and when we went IPO with $6 million in funding. We have always been a very efficient company in terms of acquiring clients, then this shall continue. So the consequence of that is the growth of our shopping base. We had closed the third quarter of 24 with 35 million accounts, and we grew 30%. So we added over 10 million clients in 1 year. That's an impressive value for a company that has 14 years of history. In 1 year, we added 30% in our complete base. This was followed by a number of accounts we added. So the third quarter of 24, we had added 2 million accounts. In the third quarter of this year, we added 2.8 million with a growth of 6%. As a parenthesis here, the most important information here on this slide, even more than growth, is how this reflects in the number of active users, those who really generate value for Méliuz, not only those who access the app, but those who perform an action that generate value for us, that adds value for us. We grew this number. We grew in a number of accounts, but with quality and users who are active. 64% of active users in this quarter. We're not just bringing users, we are bringing users who will add value for the company in the short run, in the long run, and I'm going to tell you why I'm talking about long run. But talking about this acquisition and why we're so efficient in acquiring users, if you look at our main acquisition channels, is the first. The first is users bringing new users. This is in our organic numbers. And the second pillar is Google search, content. We do not spend to acquire these users. And we have our marketing investments with TikTok and other partners investing 1.9 per month, 1.9 million per month. But mostly we have generate users in free of costs and in a spontaneous way, because users will bring other users. As I told you, that the growth of users in the short run will have an impact in the long run. And why? Because of this chart. Every year, by the end of the year, we show this chart. So this is not yet fully accomplished. This is just for the first 9 months. But the idea here is that when I grow my bases, my user bases are creating more numbers of users, more cohorts of users, and they follow us. So each cohorts of 2017, 2018, and so on, our retention of GMV is huge. And this is the secret of our business, our ability to acquire users in a cheaper way. We have a customer acquisition cost that is low, but not only that, they continue using Méliuz, and we give them the best experience so our users keep on adding value for us and for our partners. As an example, the last cohort that completed 5 years, which is the 2019 cohort of or basis of users who entered or joined in 2019 and continued with us, their result was 96%. So if the user got to us in 2019 and started buying with 100, they are now buying 96. This is really huge. I know no player of SaaS or e-commerce with such a large retention. This is the result of our experience, of our result that we can, and the experience we can generate for our users. So this growth will have a positive impact in the long run. What we're generating now, we will grow our revenue 37% in the quarter, but the acquisition of new records of new active users will generate positive effects in the long run as well. So now, looking at our revenue, let me talk about Shopping Brazil. We grew 63% year on year. We are talking about 62 million revenue that went to 98.2 million, almost 100 million in this quarter. This is the largest revenue for Shopping Brazil in the history of Méliuz. And as important as the growth in the quarter, it is consistent. You can see our evolution last month, in the previous 12 months, and quarter by quarter. Every quarter we have added additional revenue, incremental revenue. So we had 244, then 246, 264, 273, and then we had this huge leap, 311.7, a growth of 28% in Q3 25. So we have two main components of this revenue, and this is the first time we bring this to the market, and it's important to disclose this here. In our Shopping Brazil, we have e-commerce, traditional business. The users join Méliuz. We indicate these users to our partners. Then they buy there. We get a commission as part of the total GMV, and we share this with the user. This number will be reflected by the improvement take rate and growth in GMV and operating numbers and figures that we disclose. And there's another vertical that has grown over the years, which are the other lines of business, other products we have developed for our partners. In these lines, in the third quarter of 24, we had 10.7 million in revenue, and now we have 29 million in revenue, a growth of 172%. And what do you have here inside? Inside these shopping verticals, we have other leverages that generate revenue for our partners. So I'd like to highlight 3 of them, but we have others. So the first of them, and we have discussed it quite greatly and has a very good result for us, is Méliuz Prime. It's a subscription program. Our users can opt to pay monthly or annually to get extra benefits. And this product has a very significant result in 2 different ways. One, it obviously generates subscription revenue. Users paid for it from 8 to 90 or 90.90 or up to 90 Brazilian reais per year for the subscription, but it also generates GMV and incremental revenue. In practice, the benefit we deliver to our clients, to our customers, are campaigns and increased cashbacks with our partners in physical stores and in online stores. And then we will pay the difference of cashback for those users. They will get more cashbacks. And I do this in stores they are not used to buy in. So I can deliver more purchases, and this will help increase the results for shopping directly on GMV and also through subscription. The second main product is Méliuz ads. It has grown significantly, and Méliuz ads growth is due to our capacity to deliver more segmented users to our partners. So in fact, we can deliver the best campaigns for the best users, the best channels in our app, in our website, in the clients or the customers' WhatsApp. It can be a cross-sell from a business line into another business line, and this will go into Méliuz ad. This is how I create for a space for our partners so they can communicate their products, their categories for the users, and this will generate a good result on the margin because it's very good in margin. And the third product that has grown is Méliuz for brands. As users see it, is the invoice Méliuz. They generate or they add values for the partner brands. They sell in supermarkets, in drugstores, and each and every points of sale, physical points of sale in Brazil. This has had a very good penetration, which helps net revenue in shopping in Brazil and other earnings and results. They account for 25% of the net income of Brazil in shopping, in 25% of net revenue from shopping in this third quarter. Just a final comment here. We always like to talk about the basis of premium basis. We have grown 390% in our active user base. If you compare this to the third quarter of 24, this is the main value we give you. Our concern is not to generate direct subscription revenues, to generate incrementality, and then I will generate value for our users because they start using their benefits. This helps us achieve these numbers, and to retain a high level of satisfaction and grow our user base. And then to complete this line of thought and to help users and the market understand this, let me talk about the leverages we have worked with and will keep on working with to improve these revenues. To start with, there is a cross leverage that impacts Méliuz as a whole, shopping, financial services, and all of our lines of business, which is the growth of our active base. As I told you before, 64% growth year on year. So when we grow the active base, we can grow all the business verticals, as you know. So looking at each product has a different focus in the sense of either it is for our partners or it's a product for our users or both. For example, Méliuz ads, the focus is the partners. I want to find ways so our partners can announce their brands, categories, and products in a better fashion to our users, and our users get that information and the best opportunity for them to buy from our partners. And then we have worked with several and important leverage to work with that. First, larger inventory, so we can deliver efficiently in communications through WhatsApp to our users via CRM, and also increase opportunities of exposures so our users can check the best offers. And most of all, we have worked with AI to show our products. So if I have two users with completely different behaviors, I'm not taking the best of this opportunity. But if I find that users, that customer that can get the best ad for them, I can deliver best opportunity. This is a very important vertical. They buy more, and we have used this the core of our business to improve that. Then we have Méliuz Prime. First is a B2C product. Firstly, I deliver this to our customers as a subscription, but it's also a B2B product because I sell this campaign to our partners. They invest more to get to this Méliuz Prime because they have more active, more frequent clients, usually higher end users, and more recurring users when they have better penetration in e-commerce. So we have this B2B and B2C, and we have more and more campaigns for our B2B in Méliuz Prime. And there is an increase in the subscribers' share of wallet. The main goal of the product is incrementality. We can sell more in e-commerce and generate more for the users and make the space grow. The third vertical is Méliuz for brands focused on those consumer goods and fast commerce that I mentioned. And the idea is to grow the number of advertisers. We want to have more and more advertisers taking part in our promotions. And we have other products. They are mostly B2C features of our app that we can have better profitability, new opportunities for monetization in users. For example, you can answer a research or a survey and get cashback, or a game with cashback. Several products help monetize our business. This I explained to you how the shopping the revenue of 63% come from us. So Shopping Brazil drove Méliuz 37% growth in net revenue. This is the best result in a quarter for Méliuz, for any quarter, not only a third quarter in Méliuz. This is a hallmark for Méliuz. You know that the Black Friday is the top month for Méliuz, and usually this is the most important month for e-commerce, November. But we have created several avenues for growth, not only e-commerce. We have generated better growth. We can grow even outside this November month. So 1 million reais and more is what shows this. We can work with several verticals, not only e-commerce. So we are truly confident with this next Black Friday. We want to turn this Black Friday into the best one possible. So we grew 37% in the net revenue year on year, and 63% of Shopping Brazil, 40% in drop in the net revenue financial services, and a growth of 25% in the net revenue of other companies in the consolidated numbers. In financial services, net revenue for financial services, we had a decrease of 40%. This is due to negotiation with the BV Bank by the end of the year, which made our revenue drop in this comparison year on year. But if you check quarter after quarter, the revenue remains stable. Next, please. So if you look beyond financial services revenue, we had an increase of 12% from 14.2 to 15.9, resulting from our other businesses, both in Brazil and in other countries. One of the best results achieved. Looking at the future, we have this partnership with BV. We have worked together to generate more value, to add more value to our partners and end users. There was a record of funding in CDBs and other products, funding for accounts and our investments, and we have focused in this fourth quarter to guarantee that this insurance vertical also grows. There was a temporary impact because of this negotiation with the BV Bank, but we have worked to generate and add more value to our partners and Méliuz end users. Next, please. And then the conclusion, let's say, this is the total net revenue. And this chart talks about how consistent our results are. When you look quarter after quarter, we have grown our revenue that we are bringing into the company, and we brought two numbers here. The revenue addition 9 months of 25 and the revenue addition in the first 9 months of 24. In 24, we added 34 millions. And in 25, in the first 9 months, we added 62 millions, a growth of almost 80% in added revenue for the first 9 months of this year. This is a very important percentage. It shows how hard we've been working throughout 2025 to generate additional revenue in this consolidated view, focused in this area. Next, please. Cool. I talked about growth and revenue. Now let's talk about bottom line and operating efficiency. This chart tells a lot about what we have done in the past 3 years and how and why I thanked our team. So we let 53% of our revenue as fixed costs, super high. And now we have 30% of our revenue devoted to fixed costs. So the base of costs has fell as a proportion of the revenue. This allowed us to become more and more efficient, generating more and more results. If you look at the representativity of net revenue, we had a decrease of 23 percentage point of net revenue representation. This reflects our ability to keep on growing, maintaining controlled costs. And another idea is represented here. It shows how our business is sturdy and efficient. We have grown. We had 307 million in the third quarter of 23. And then we grew and grew, and now we achieved 426.6 in this quarter. This is a LTM view. So we can see this evolution since 23 to 25. So this is a very good view that it can shows you differences as a whole and discounting seasonalities. So we left a very high level of fixed costs for 62%, moving on to 28%. I'm talking about cashback, and this will impact our campaigns and also have an impact on the number of users. This idea is to maintain sustainable and efficient cashbacks, and this is in a level that we consider pretty satisfactory. And our investments in marketing grew. We invested more in marketing because our fixed costs have been reduced so as we could invest more in market and improve our EBITDA as we wanted to show the market. And this is what we delivered. So if we compare the third quarter of 24 to 25, we grew our EBITDA in 258%. So in our view here, last of month, this market, this chart to your right, we have 94.7 million or 207%. This is a very strong number showing the consequence of growth with costs under control. This also reflected in our net income that went from 8.8 million to 14 million, and then growing 60%, 14.2 million. And then we went from last year, there was a permit that was relevant, 53.5 negative, and advanced to 53.3 in the third quarter of 25 in the previous year. This will translate in net income. There are some taxes and depreciation costs among these lines. Our operating business is very strong in this net income, achieving 61% growth is a representation of that. And this impact of EBITDA and net income generates an impact in our cash generation. So let me show this here in your result release. There's a very important description there, but we have a cash and cash equivalent in June 25 of 71.5, and there was a cash variation in the third quarter of 25 of 4.9, sorry, 4.2, a negative. I will explain this to you. This is 4.2 lower in Q3 25. In October, we got 20.3 million in cash addition. The impact of accounts receivable that increased in Q3, which allowed us to reach cash and cash equivalents in October 25, 87.6 million, a variation of 16.8 million total change over the period, considering the cash and cash equivalents in October 25, reaching this number of 87.6. However, cash generation was higher than that. Operating cash was higher than 16.8 million. It was around 25 million. Let me explain you why. So if we break down net income here, we had 14.2 of net income in the Q3 25. We had depreciation costs 5.3, deferred taxes of 5.9, and other impacts that have no impact on cash, but they account for net income. And then our adjusted net income for Q3 25 of adjusted and non-cash effects was 24.5 in this quarter. And we had a variation of accounts receivable of 23.9. This is a natural part. Sales in this quarter, but not received in this quarter. They were received in the first weeks of October. So there was this variation, this negative variation of 23.9 in the accounts receivable. And you see that in the balance sheet. Our accounts receivable grew quarter to quarter. There was 4.4 million in a working capital, in our operating cash flow variation of September 25 of June versus June 25 was 5 million. So there is a strong cash flow in October 25, 20.3. Part of that accounts receivables in the third quarter, also reflecting in the cash in October. We added 20.3 million to the cash flow in October. So from June 25 to October 25, we have a generation, a cash flow generation of 25.3. So we invested 9.2 million of these proceeds in our Bitcoin strategy, in an idea to have Bitcoin yield. And 5.5 were Bitcoins in the spot. We had this in September, and then we allocated around 3 million as reserved cash for our derivative to generate Bitcoin investments. A small part, less than 3 million, that were allocated to start to escalate this derivative strategy that have generated an annualized level of 40 in this consideration. With this Bitcoin purchase, I get to 16.1 of cash variation October 25 versus June 25. So why do I say that I generate 25 in cash, but in the balance sheet we have 16? Because we allocated 9.2 million in the Bitcoin strategy. This will be a tangible business, other expenses. So every time we allocate proceeds to Bitcoin strategy, this will come from our cash. This is an investment and not a drop in the cash. So it will have the 16.1 as a cash variation, and this is how is the breakdown explains this. This was super important because this will continue to consolidate our main objective, which is to generate Bitcoin yield. We have an accumulated Bitcoin yield of 920% if you compare this to the first quarter. So we have a Bitcoin position of 604.69 at Bitcoin position. In the average purchase price of BTC is $1,003.323. Near the spot we have, but the recent variation in short term and Bitcoin, the reduction is for us, our strategy is a long-term strategy. We do not plan to be Bitcoin traders. We want to believe in Bitcoin as an asset, as a monetary asset for the long run. This will generate value for all of our shareholders in the long run. This is part of our long-term strategy. And then I would like to finish my presentation by sharing with you our vision. We have added a repurchase plan to rebuy parts of our shares. And let me explain why I did that. When you look at our share, we are below the fair price. There is a discount here of the market, as the figures you can see on the screen. But we announced this launch of the company's share buyback plan. This is part of our strategy of Bitcoin yield, because then we reduce the shares and we add more Bitcoin per share. So this strategy, this buyback strategy, is an idea that we had to generate an increased Bitcoin yield for us and for our shareholders. This is what we have announced for the market in the past few weeks. And why have we done this? These are numbers of last Tuesday. We had a market cap of 483.6. And consequently, we get enterprise value, the adjusted enterprise value of 63.3. For a company that has grown 37% in net revenue, 94.7 million in EBITDA, with increase of EBITDA year on year of 258%, over 45 million total accounts, fourth place in most downloaded shopping ads. So this leads us to think about that. And as a reference, we have a BMOB, we have 5.4 times, local web 10.7 times, totals 17.15 times, and the multiple EV versus EBITDA is 0.7 times. So we are just comparing this 0.67 times does not represent this in comparison to other players. This is why we have launched this strategy, this buyback plan. Then we reduce shares, and mathematically we will increase our Bitcoin yield for our shareholders, our top priority here. I would like to invite you to two public events today. Later, right after our Q&A session, we have a chat on X focused to our investors. Israel, Mason, and Diego will be there in this call. We'll talk about our Bitcoin strategy. And tomorrow on, we'll be present at SATSConf. I'll be there on November 7th. Mason and Diego and myself will be there. This will be an on-site event held in the city of São Paulo. You're all invited. Márcio, back to you. Thank you. Very good presentation, very detailed. We'll now start our Q&A session. So if you're interested in asking a question, please click on the raise your hand button, and then we will unmute your mic. Yeah. Well, our first question from Ricardo Spiegel, analyst from BTG Pactual. Ricardo, you may go ahead, please. Good morning, and congratulations on your results. Well, this was a very strong quarter in terms of generating EBITDA and revenue, and still have the fourth quarter that tends to be the strongest of the year. So please let us know about anything that has to do with the Q3 that made it so important, or if it makes sense to think about season differences between the Q3 and Q4. New revenues represent 25% of shopping, and this share increasing, this seasonality should have a less relevant effect as time goes by. But I would like to listen to your perspective. Well, about the Black Friday and fourth quarter in general, obviously this is the strongest period of the year. We are very excited about the Black Friday and the fourth Q. There will be a consolidation of the growth in the base of users and growth of revenue through the quarters. As I told you, this is not a sprint, this is a marathon, and everything we have done to improve our users' experience is good for all quarters. So this is a trajectory of growth for our e-commerce and other verticals as well. And as you said, and in terms of new lines of businesses disclosure, we have placed new products in our channel. Not necessarily they follow the same seasonality as the Black Friday and the Brazilian market. So we have some business verticals like Méliuz e-commerce, Méliuz ads that will grow a great deal in the fourth quarter, but others will be impacted by the increase of active users in our app. In terms of leverage, this will help all brands, Méliuz for brands, and all the others, but the seasonality has to do especially with e-commerce. I don't know if you have any follow-up questions. That's very good. Thank you very much. Thank you, Ricardo. Thank you, Ricardo. Our next question comes from Andrew Ruben from Morgan Stanley.
Hi, thanks very much for the questions here. I would just like to clarify on that same point. We saw a very strong step up in 3Q despite the GMV trends being similar. So just trying to understand these businesses that you discussed, Prime, Nota Fiscal, was there a sequential inflection, or how else do you bridge that? Because just looking to the GMV change, the take rate, I'm not on the outset seeing the such expressive growth that you posted. And then the second topic, please, just thinking about capital allocation. You mentioned the buyback program, so I'm curious internally how you think about the decisions when it makes sense to buy back shares versus add to the Bitcoin position. Thank you again.
Thank you very much for your question, Andrew. To start with, if you look at your first question, GMV has grown below the revenue, as you mentioned. And breaking down the results, here we try to make it clearer. We have a revenue coming from e-commerce. This revenue grew 40% year on year, and this reflects our growth in GMV and take rate growth, because it's a line of revenue that is directly connected to commissions generated to our partners and consequently to GMV, which is the commission related to this. But there is always a mismatch between the time when we make the sales and the moment when we get the revenue or we add the revenue to our balance sheet. So there will always be a mathematical mismatch, but there is a strong correlation between the growth of revenue in that e-commerce lines and our GMV. But for all the other lines, they are not related to GMV. So Méliuz ads, for example, is a branding to generate value to our partners when they see our offers, our products, not totally connected to GMV. And Méliuz Prime, it's a subscription business. It has no impact to GMV. Nota Fiscal will not change GMV. So in short, I would say that we can no longer to look at Méliuz business that the revenue is only connected to GMV. We have other lines of business that will also generate revenue. We have financial services revenue and other shopping services revenue. They will all come together to generate the final revenue. Well, regarding capital allocation, our macro goal has been and always be to make the Bitcoin yield grow. Bitcoin per share in our balance sheet. Consequently, using our operating cash, we can decide in between buying the Bitcoin, but we took 9.9 million to buy Bitcoins. And another way to do that, and we have been implementing that with a buyback plan, to buy back our shares. By buying them back, we reduce the number of shares in circulation, increasing the number of Bitcoin per share in circulation. This will also give an impact or have an impact in the Bitcoin yield. And our view is that the current business is devalued. So we have a multiple of EBITDA below the market, and our value of our assets in Bitcoins, in case we have a value according to the market, it would be below 1. So we have an opportunity to generate a Bitcoin yield with this buyback strategy or buyback plan. Thank you for your question.
That's all very clear. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Andrew. And now coming from Bruno Kenji, analyst from UBS. Bruno, your microphone is unmuted. Please go ahead. Hello, thank you for allowing me to ask your questions. Congratulations on your results. I have 2 questions on my side. First, considering these new verticals, let me understand if you have a breakdown on which initiative has contributed the most for the growth of that line, and what is your expectation regarding these lines in the medium and long term? And the second question is regarding GMV. We had a very good growth, and next year the base will be a little harder. This year we had a relevant growth for GMV, but I would like to understand your expectation considering the growth of these new initiatives. Well, let me start with your second question, okay? The best way of looking at GMV and project our GMV and based on our guidelines is looking at the GMV retention slide, one of our first slides. When our users join our app, they keep on buying for a long time. And so they generate GMV throughout this period. So these new cohorts of users, they will compound that slide. And I have larger and larger cohorts of users in our app who will continue buying with us through the years, as we have seen since 2010 when Méliuz was founded. So the idea is to grow this GMV as if it were a snowball. So it will keep on growing more and more. So this just something regarding GMV here. Bruno, thank you for your question. Let me add that GMV is an important part of the result, but more and more it has become less representative as a whole. It's important to analyze that in GMV, I mean, if we consider in the beginning of Méliuz, we focused more on GMV. The main operating multiplier was GMV back then. I remember the results of the fourth quarter, and there was a operating previous results showing a very strong growth of GMV. However, the consequence of that growth, it was that we were not so focused on profitability. We improved GMV, but in spite of this profitability, at that time, the market would allow us to do that. That was a good strategy at the time. But GMV is okay. If we want to increase GMV in 2 digits, we could do this. I mean, quarter by quarter in 40%, 50%, it's okay, we can do that. We have done this in the past. However, our current strategy does not allow us to do that. We do not want to do that. We want GMV growth to be a very sustainable growth with a good take rate, and especially with a net take rate that is good, and also a cross-selling between new and other Méliuz products. So GMV on itself has been very important for Méliuz, and today GMV is not higher because we do not want it to be higher. We can make this number grow, but it is our strategy to keep it as it is. This will generate more value. This will add more value to our shareholders in the long run. Thank you. Just regarding Bruno's first question on other products, we are not opening the revenue per product. This shopping, we broke down shopping into its 2 main products, but only that. So regarding expectation of growth, I can tell you that yes, we expect them to grow. It's not a sprint, it's a marathon. For the products we have created to generate value for shopping and not only e-commerce, they will keep on growing. I don't know if they will grow as much as they have grown for now, but we want to be the highest or the biggest loyalty shopping platform, not only the largest e-commerce platform in Brazil. So yes, we hope that they will keep on growing sustainably. Thank you very much. That was super clear. Thank you, Bruno. Now we are going to wrap up our call. So we are about to start our X event, and we will wait for all of you there. So Gabriel, your take-home message. Well, thank you very much for your presence. As you have seen, this is a very important historical mark for us. Is a landmark for us. We could make grow our EBITDA, our net revenue, our net income. You know how hard it is. Usually, if you grow margin and EBITDA, it hurts revenue and income. But what we have done in the past few years, not only in the past year, is to grow all of them. This is extremely positive, and this is due to the hard work on of our team, focused on what can add value to our users, our partners, and our shareholders. Thank you very much. You are all invited to join us on X soon. Thank you very much, and have a nice